There's an old saying to get it right the first time, and that certainly applies to building construction. With me today is Chief Building Official Mike Scott, as well as Building Inspector Anthony Utsey.
Good morning.
Welcome, gentlemen, on this cold morning.
Thanks.
And as far as getting it right the first time, that certainly applies to building inspection, whether you are constructing a new building or adding on to an existing one. It saves time, money, and sometimes aggravation to get it right the first time.
Right.
So gentlemen, we're going to talk about the process of building inspection, which a lot of people don't know about unless they are actually building a home. So Mike, what is the goal of building inspection and why is it so important?
I'd say the number one goal is safety. You know, when you build something, we need a good quality product. And then anytime somebody is buying a new home or, having some renovations done, it's important that they get what they pay for. And so our job is to make sure that it's constructed and built according to the code. And by doing that, it's also a safe product for people to live in and children to play in.
And sometimes you talk about building not just for the existing owners, but beyond that. What do you mean by that?
Well, when a homeowner comes out here to buy a house, a new house or a used house, and that's been, remodeled or whatever, they need to be assured that they're getting what they're paying for. And so that's why Anthony goes out and does all these inspections, and during that process, we make sure it's built to code. And so those people are assured that it's built to code if it's built in the city.
And that also means that the future building owners are going to be benefiting from
That's right.
the proper practices. Anthony, your job is pretty extensive. What are the 5 major things that you inspect?
Well, I inspect the setbacks, which ensures that the building fits within the lot without encroaching on the neighbor. We do footing inspections, which support the house, the slab floor. After that, we do the framing, and then there's a final.
So those are the 5 major things. Do you handle both residential and commercial construction?
I do. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's a pretty full day every day, right?
Right.
And there's, to organize your day, you have this orange inspection form. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we have an orange inspection form that's given out at the time the permit is obtained, and it's basically just a checklist to let the contractor or the homeowner know at which step they are in the construction process.
So that way that you know that every single step has been followed.
That's correct.
In the inspection process. Okay. What is the toughest part of your job?
I would have to say the toughest part of my job is probably keeping up with the code changes. We deal with 5 to 6 different books during the construction of a project. And those codes change at each code cycle. So staying on top of the code changes to be sure that we are up to date with our inspections is probably the toughest part.
So you're having to keep up with the changes, and that also means that there's a lot of administrative work involved in the job?
There is some administrative work, but basically that's handled by Mr. Scott.
Yes, very good. Okay, so you have challenges to the job, and certainly people need to remember to take out a permit in the first place. Sometimes that's the challenge.
Right.
But what is the most rewarding part of your job?
Again, safety is a big issue with me. I mean, it's satisfying to me to know that after a project has been completed, that the homeowners and their children have a place safe to reside.
So people may look at you as just checking off the boxes, but really there's a big picture issue here of quality of life.
That is correct.
In a person's home, or in the case of a business, to make sure that it provides safety for everyone that enters that business.
That is exactly right.
Okay. What would be the one piece of advice that you would offer to homeowners or contractors?
I would say communication would be important. We ask you to communicate with us. We're not out here to jam anyone up. We're here to help people. So if you contact us, if you have a question or whatever prior to doing your project, then maybe we can get some things lined out before, we show up and maybe something's just not quite right.
So communication, like with almost any project, is key.
That is.
Okay. Mike, the average new construction, we were adding it up, and it takes about 15 different inspections. How do you keep up with all of those inspections for all of this construction that takes place in Hot Springs?
Well, all the inspectors have tablets, as he has one in his hand, and we all have cell phones nowadays, so that makes it a little easier. And we have a special computer program we have, it's called Impact, and that's where we keep all the information inside that. It's all logged in that. But also the inspectors are all cross-trained. And so, you know, if Anthony's sick one day, well, there's somebody that can fill in. Or if his schedule is so busy that day, we'll find somebody that's not that busy that day that can kind of help him do certain inspections. And so that really helps too. And all the inspectors are cross-trained.
Did you, we were talking earlier about all your inspectors notice things that the average person doesn't as they're driving around town. So are drive-bys helpful as well as far as your staff is concerned?
Yeah, as well as the building safety inspectors, but also the neighborhood services inspectors are driving around. And so that gives us about 10 or 11 people that are driving around all day long, and they're all looking for things, and they communicate with each other through cell phones, emails, whatever. And so they can let everybody know what's going on. And if there's something odd they see, they'll contact maybe Anthony and say, hey, Anthony, I see something going on over here. I don't show a permit. You might want to run by here. And that always helps, you know. And also if another inspector's inside doing an inspection, like the electrical inspector may be doing something, if he sees something odd, like a contractor doing the electrical has cut a header out or something, he'll contact Anthony and say, hey, you might want to come by here and look at this.
So there's a lot of eyes and ears on the street watching what's going on construction-wise.
Yes, as well as citizens. They like to call. So
That's good, and sometimes that means someone discovers that a permit needs to be pulled.
all the time, yeah, and we appreciate their help because, like I said, I have 11 people, but that's very few people when you talk about how big the city is. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, everybody wants to be safe, and I think that's the whole point of this segment is that's what your staff is, the bottom line, that's their mission is to make sure that every building in Hot Springs does offer safety.
Yes.
To wrap things up here, based on the work that your division performs, how would you rate the overall quality of city construction projects these days?
Well, I've been here 18 years, and you know, I know when I came here, you know, it was pretty good. But the codes since then, you know, the book have gotten 3 times thicker, many more codes, and so, you know, 10 years after I started here, the housing stock was better than it was 10 years before that, and today it's better than it was, you know, 10 years ago. And 10 years from now, I'm sure it'll even be better. The codes are continually changing, as Anthony said, and all those changes are due to make it better is what they are. Every code is there to make the codes better and the housing stock better.
Well, we've been talking about building it right, and sometimes inspectors have the tough job of asking for a do-over, that things have to be performed correctly. But as time goes on, the impression I'm getting is that both homeowners and contractors are learning more of what is expected. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, you know, Anthony's been here more years than me with the city, and the contractors are getting used to him. He's getting used to them, and you know, he's been the building inspector I think now for 16 years or so, or 15, and so that's a relationship that they've built, and they each know what each other's jobs are, and it makes it a little bit easier. You know.
You've dealt with a lot of homeowners and business owners over the years, haven't you, Anthony?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we appreciate the work that you do and that all of the inspectors in the Planning and Development Department do to help provide safe and attractive housing stock and commercial stock for the city of Hot Springs.
Thanks.
Anything else that you want to wrap up with, Mike?
I've got the best trained staff in the state of Arkansas. I'll tell you
I knew
that
you'd
right
say
now.
that.
I can
That's
tell you that right
absolutely.
now. I mean, and it's not, you know, it's not something that's not known. It's known. We're known because all of my staff is licensed in their trade, and they have many years of experience, and so they are exceptional at their job. And I mean, I appreciate the staff that I have, so it makes my job a lot easier.
Absolutely. And isn't it great to know that we have a wonderful staff here at the City of Hot Springs, and we set the bar high for the rest of Arkansas.
Certainly.
Thank you,
Sure do.
gentlemen,
Thank
for
you.
giving us the inside look on building it right today. And next week, we'll bring you more city news.